I've had two dogs in my life. I think of them as family. One passed away a couple of years ago. She was 17 years old. And one super stud, Mowgli. Everyone's seen pictures and videos of him. They're both rescues. We got Saki, my previous dog. We got her when she was being abandoned by family after the age of 1.5. And well, Mowgli was under my car literally when he was almost dead as a puppy. So I'm very fortunate that God kind of brought these two beautiful creatures into my life and my family's lives. And it's important for people everywhere to know that you don't have to get a dog because you think you should get a dog. Get a dog because you really want to get a dog, because something inside you tells you need to get a dog. I actually grew up in this house in Chennai, and my neighbors at one point were this young couple who moved from Bombay, and they had dogs.
Okay.
I still remember that at the time I had never had any pet of any kind. So that was because they would let me come over and play whenever I wanted, and one of the dogs was called Hot Dog, and he was a mutt, an Indian shepherd as I like to call them. So I used to go and bathe them and play with them and feed them and do all sorts of, they would let me just give me free hand with these two dogs. At the time, my father was always against having a pet only because he knew we'd get too attached, and he didn't want us to kind of have an extra child in the family.
Okay.
So for the longest time this happened, and we would never be allowed to have a pet. And I only had cats. So I had a cat called Thomasina, and so she was allowed because she used to take care of herself, and cats are a little more selfish than dogs and a little less dependent. So she would come when she wanted, eat and sleep and leave. So after that, we moved to Delhi, and one summer my mother was away on some holiday, and I found that there was this dog 2 streets down or 3 streets down who was being given away by a family because of religious issues. So they were kind of looking to, because they had problems with their local religious group, which said that it's not good for them to have a pet or something. So they wanted to give away a dog.
Oh God.
So I said, why would you abandon an animal? And I went and saw the animal. And she was this beautiful 1-year-old Spitz. So this dog had a different name initially, and we rechristened her Saki, because Saki was my favorite author at the time, H.H. Munro. And I loved the name Saki. Once my mother and Saki met, that was, I think, one of the most important relationships my mother ever forged in her life. And Saki was with us for 17 years, and she was the first child in the family. And I think after that, my biggest fear was when Saki goes, what's my mom going to do? It's always been on my mind, because she was not a dog. I don't know what to say, because she slept on my parents' bed. She woke up my parents on their pillow with her morning breath. It's how it was, And so somewhere along the line, I always had this fear that I wish I could have more dogs, so that once one passes, it's like a family member. You don't feel too much of a void here. And I was playing on the beach with a couple of dogs. And my favorite thing about dogs is that I think of myself as a dog whisperer. For what a lot of us dog lovers think we can have a conversation with any dog, And so I've had a habit of playing with random strays, as angry or dangerous as they might be. I think I can calm them and play with them. So I go to the beach regularly and play with a lot of strays. And there is one day I met this dog on the beach who was fascinating. He, I think, had spent all his life from birth on the sand. I was saying, wow, I wish I could adopt every stray I find on the road, because Indian dogs, I just generally think, have the best temperament and the sweetest eyes. I've always said this about Indian dogs. And that day I was driving back, saying tomorrow I'm just going to go and pick up a couple of dogs. I'm talking about 10 years ago.
Okay.
I'm going to go pick up a couple of strays. I'll talk to Appa and deal with it. Whatever problems he has, we can sort it out. And as I was coming back, you won't believe it, I thought in the last minute, and it was like a dimly lit road. I was driving back from a distance, and suddenly I thought there was something in the middle of the road, literally in the middle of the road, and I went over it. And I just froze. I freaked out because I thought I'd run over something.
Oh, no.
It was not moving. It was just something, but I knew I'd run over something. So I just froze and I was freaking out, and I got out of the car and looked under, and there was this literally half dead animal under my car. I hadn't hit it. It was already lying there, and my car was over it, you know. I looked down, there was like this really sad looking animal under my car. It was like a scrawny rat, and its eyes were open. And so I kind of went in and picked him up, and this was this puppy, you know. He was a really extremely malnourished, almost dead puppy who couldn't move because he'd given up on it, his limbs had given up on him. So I kind of picked him up and took him to, I couldn't take him to a vet because it was a bit late in the evening. So I took him to my friend's place, and his mother is somebody who works a lot with the Blue Cross. I just wanted to go and ask her what to do with him. And we gave him some milk, and we kind of put him to sleep or whatever. He was a little bit, he was still kind of groggy and all that. Then I brought him home, and the first reaction that I got from my mother is, she said, "What are you doing with a rat?" I said, "Why would I bring a rat home? It's a dog." So she's like, "Oh, okay, is it okay?" And I said, "Yeah, it'll be fine." So I took him upstairs, this house, took him upstairs, and he was kind of sleeping anyways. The next morning I took him to a vet, and you know what they do when they, basically he was the last of his litter, so didn't get any milk, so fought for whatever little he got, and then kind of got beaten up by street kids or whatever. Must have been about a month old, 25 to 30 days old. Took him to a vet, gave him an enema first. He had a battery in his stomach. So this stupid fool had eaten a battery.
The story of
Mowgli. So he had swallowed a battery in his first month. That shows his general intelligence. I mean, he in his head thinks he's a very cultured pedigree, thinks he's very high society.
He is.
He thinks he's very posh. So I haven't broken the news to him that he's, adopted. My father's a vegetarian, doesn't even eat egg. But every morning, Mowgli gets like an epic mixture of dog food with an egg, some milk, some curd. My dad likes to change it, like he thinks he's giving him some gourmet feast or something. So he gets very excited when he sees my father doing something for him. But my father deserves a lot of the credit for what happened with Mowgli in the later days, because Mowgli all his life has had skin problems because he's a very malnourished puppy. So he had all sorts of skin diseases, as in nothing that could affect us in any way. But you see all these spots on his body.
True.
And the fact that, look at his stomach. Now you want to show him back? Show your stomach. Come here. Tachi. Apadi. Good.
Yeah, actually it's a very sensitive
He's got a bizarre coat, and he was bald as a pea. He had no hair at all. So my father decides that he's going to take it upon himself to glamorize this creature. So he gives him oil baths.
Okay.
Every morning he gets and he used to get an oil rub.
Yeah, that helps him in his, I think,
he got his circulation thing, he got
circulation.
oil rub. Then he would mix up, give him neem, give him all this herbal stuff. And I was like, "What are you doing? He's not a human being, he's a doggy." And my dad he said, "You just watch, I'll show results." So this entire coat is my father's achievement.
Okay.
He never had a coat. He was a bald dog for the first few years of his life.
I was about to ask you if you were to act with Mowgli in any film.
I told you I was never going to. My answer to that would be absolutely not, because before today, I swear to God, I would have said Mowgli would make a really bad actor. So yeah, I mean, on set, I'm known as somebody who's obsessed with dogs. So my biggest problem is if I see a stray, I'll pick it up. And usually when you're in costume for a scene, that can be a problem. So on set, everyone, if they see a dog, they get a bit freaked out because they're like, "Oh my God, take care of his costume, take care of his costume." And I'm just going to go play with a dog if I see it. But yeah, I've never given up a chance of playing with a dog. And I think I would say it's I don't think I think they're better than humans. And it will change your life. And personally, I'm not in favor of buying dogs or putting too much importance on the price of a life based on how it looks or what features or characteristics it has. I think every dog in every life is special. So do yourself a favor and go adopt a dog, an Indian dog. I think they're spectacular companions, they're really loyal, they're beautiful, and they're such wonderful, understanding and easy to maintain pets. So I think everybody needs to go and get themselves, if you're looking at getting a dog, I'd say get an Indian dog. They're really awesome. And speaking from experience, I mean, Mowgli is one of the most beautiful animals I've ever seen in my life. He's my son, and I'm very proud of him because when we found him, we thought he wouldn't make it because he was really sick when he was a puppy. And when you look at him today, he's 10 years old and still kind of a puppy, and touchwood, really healthy and really strong and very resilient to all the stuff that nature and everything throws at him. So do yourself a favor, get an Indian dog. I assure you it will change your life.